The January Wedding by Beatrice Collin.
Miss Karsov, I, Nina Karsov, take Shimon Schechter to be my lawful wedded husband.
I, Nina Karsov, take Shimon Schechter to be my lawful wedded husband.
Now, sign here.
Be quick, we haven't got all day.
Oh. Yeah. Is that it?
What did you expect? A fanfare and confetti?
And 2 bridesmaids in a dress made of French lace.
I'd have brought you my golden carriage if they'd let it through the gates.
Enough. Go on, get it over with.
On this day in January, by the powers invested in me by the Polish state, I now pronounce you man and wife.
I'll bring the carriage next time.
Enough!
I won't leave in anything less.
Conduct the prisoner back to her cell. Smoke?
I don't. Well, if you could just ask someone to show me to the exit.
You puzzle me, Dr. Schechter.
I have a bus to catch.
I'd like to understand how a man of your reputation, an eminent historian, a respected academic, ends up in here, doing this. What does your wife think of this ridiculous charade?
I said I have a bus to catch.
Despite the fact that you've been issued a permit to leave Poland, which you yourself applied for, you decide to divorce your wife of 20 years and marry your secretary. A woman more than 15 years your junior, a woman who'd just been sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. Well?
Nina Karsov will appeal. The sentence is unjust. You know that she is not a criminal, but a prisoner of conscience, don't you?
I have nothing to do with the judicial process.
But you will admit that you know that her health is precarious, that she suffers from tuberculosis of the lymphatic glands. She needs to be in a hospital, not a prison. When are you going to do something?
It's not part of my jurisdiction.
Day by day you've tried in every way possible to break her spirit, to undermine her, to alienate her from the one she loves.
I'm in administration. It's not my department, I'm afraid. So, why did you do it?
No comment.
I mean, plenty of men would jump at the chance.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, come on. A young woman who looks like that.
I wouldn't know.
Of course. I should inform you, though, that your actions will only make it worse for her. And, ultimately, for you.
Are you threatening me?
Yes, could you send someone along to my office?
I recognize the smell of your tobacco. I know you.
Someone will be along in a moment. I'm sorry, I don't think we've met before.
Oh, yes. I knew him all right. The face which revealed absolutely nothing. The forehead without conscience. The chin without weakness. The mouth without any visible signs of ever having laughed or cried.
It wasn't the face of the individual, but that of the collective. It was the face of the persecutor.
But the face of the persecutor is a mask, Nina. All you'll have to do is keep silent and wait for the moment to strike it with something unexpected. Something bold, something audacious. And the gaze will falter, and the mask will fall. You were there in Novi Targ, weren't you?
I've never been to Novi Targ, Dr. Schechter.
I remember you vividly.
No, it wasn't me. But I'm beginning to think that someone made a big mistake down there. We should have arrested you instead of her.
Stop working now, Nina. It's late.
I've almost finished transcribing the trial at Badaski House in Smythe. How long do you think they'll get?
3 years minimum. More than one person always constitutes a conspiratorial group. And that means a stiffer sentence.
There's 2 of us. We could be regarded as a conspiratorial group. Do you think they're watching us?
Almost certainly. Have you almost finished?
Yes.
Novi Targ, southern Poland. The rented apartment. Me in the armchair with a coffee in my hand. You at the table beside the open window, typing. The smell of geraniums from the balcony.
The Tatra Mountains a darker blot in the thickening of a summer night. The last time.
We were alone together. The diary was my idea. I wanted to record what was happening in Poland to those who spoke out against communism. I wanted to document the climate of fear and suspicion that we lived in, a climate where you could trust no one, where anyone and everyone might be an informer, where you could be locked up for years for organising a demonstration or for publishing an article that was deemed to be critical. Yes, it had changed since the days of Stalin. It was now regarded as an enlightened dictatorship. But it was a dictatorship nevertheless. In addition to the diary was a collection of court documents, of police denunciations of individual students. We even had a recording of Janusz Potansky's satirical opera, The President's Ball.
And it was very funny. But we were drowning in paper. It was almost more than I could cope with, but it had to be done. Someone had to record what they were doing to anyone who dared to speak out. To the intellectuals, to the creative people, to our friends.
Lida will be back soon. The film finishes at 10.
Does she ever ask what we're doing?
No, she knows not to. Only you and I know. It's safer that way.
Oh, Lida was right. The air up here has made me feel so much better. Although rain's forecast tomorrow.
It won't rain tomorrow.
The forecast was wrong last week too. I went out without my umbrella and got soaked.
Ah, yes, I was certain it would rain that day. Remember? You shouldn't have doubted me.
Doubt is uncomfortable, certainty is ridiculous. Voltaire. You're too bold, my dear doctor.
But boldness has genius, power and magic in it. Goethe. Nina, we have visitors.
I'll go and have a look. There's 6. There's 8 of them.
Good evening. We're from the security services. Please, don't move.
Isn't it customary to knock?
Shimon, it's okay.
Are you Miss Karsov?
Yes?
And you, Dr. Schechter?
Correct.
I have an order to search the premises. You two, do the bedroom. You, the kitchen. You two, have a look around in here.
First, let my assistant see your paperwork.
The doctor is blind.
I see. It's all in order. 9th of August, 1966. This is number 10 Spitlana Street, Novi Targ, is it not? We need 2 witnesses.
Well, I'm here. Couldn't I be a witness?
I'm afraid that is not possible, Miss Karsov.
It's another search warrant. It seems I'm a suspect too.
We go to your lodging next, Miss Karsov. Is it close by?
It's just 2 streets away.
Sir?
Who does this suitcase belong to?
It's just a suitcase. We're on holiday.
It's locked.
I'll open it. I had the key in my bag.
We had argued about it, of course we had.
What would happen if we were caught? There was no point in having 2 prison sentences. There's a letter in the side pocket. I'm going to read it.
A letter? Really?
Yes. Everything in this suitcase is my own personal property. It consists of material that I'm collecting of my own free will, for my own purposes and without anyone's knowledge. Signed, Nina Karsov.
Empty it out. All of it. Newspaper cuttings. Tapes. Transcriptions of political trials. A diary, even. In the old days, the regime used to break heretics' bones. Nowadays it breaks their backbone. It's funny. Did you really write this, Miss Castle?
I did.
Sign it then. Sign every single page.
That will take hours.
We're not in any hurry. Are you?
We're to travel in different cars.
That is the procedure, yes.
You keep us up all night and then you take us straight back to Warsaw. What about our personal belongings?
Just get in the car. Schechter. The wife has agreed to deal with those.
I know you.
What?
I met you years ago during Nazi occupation. You worked for the Gestapo.
I wasn't even born.
Ah, it was you.
I said climb inside.
Don't push him! Help me.
Nina! Nina!
So, Miss Karsoff, you are 26 years old, you have a master's degree in Polish philology and are currently employed as a secretary.
That is correct.
One moment, please. Yes? Well, that's a matter for... No.
Don't say a word. That's what we
Yes, I
agreed.
see.
Don't even chat about the weather.
Yes, that's understood.
They will record your voice, cut up the tape and piece it together again to make it into a confession, to play to others, to convince them that you talked. And so they start talking.
And don't ever drink the water. They put a powder in it to break your willpower.
Glass of water.
No. No, thank you.
So then, let's begin. Well, what have you to tell us?
In what respect?
As a suspect.
You haven't told me on what charges I'm being held.
Goodness me. Quite the little lawyer. Do you admit you recorded material on social, political and economic conditions which might cause substantial detriment to the interests of the Polish state? How did you get the transcriptions of so many political trials? Who gave them to you?
Nobody gave them to me. I attended those trials and took notes myself.
Why?
I have nothing to say.
When did you first meet Dr. Schechter?
Will you please record that I refuse to answer any questions about anyone I know, including Dr. Schechter?
You do know that he's Jewish.
I have nothing to say.
Why are you covering for him, Nina? We know that he collected this material and we know that he persuaded you to take the blame. You're a young woman. You could be locked up for 15 years. Think about it. For what? For an old man? For a Jew?
I have nothing to say.
He's an enemy of People's Poland, a Zionist agent. Haven't you heard about the Jewish conspiracy against the party? Well?
I have. And it's blatant anti-Semitism. I am ashamed it should still exist in Poland.
For the last time, why did you collect this material?
I have nothing to say.
Thank you. So, these are your offices of interrogation. They seem smaller than I would have expected.
Dr. Schechter.
And so, we meet again.
I'm sorry. I don't think I've had the pleasure. Sit down, please. So now, where should we start? How about with Nina Karsoff? She is your secretary, your employee.
I'd say she's more than just an employee. We work together, she types up my work, my correspondence.
And you go on holiday.
August in Warsaw is intolerable.
So you clearly spend a lot of time in one another's company. But you say you knew nothing about the diary.
I knew she was writing something. I asked her about it once, but she said she would only show it to me when it was finished. That's Nina. That's all I have to say.
That's all you have to say?
On this matter, yes. Are you going to beat me?
Whatever we want to do that for.
Or will you just push me out of an open window?
If you're referring to Chernikov, it was suicide. Very regrettable.
Of course it was. Your methods are increasingly sophisticated.
Sign here.
Sign? What for?
Because you're being released, of course.
I am. The interrogation's over.
For today, anyway.
And Miss Karsoff?
She is in the prison block. Her crime is a serious one. Her sentence, when she is finally charged, will not be lenient, I don't suppose. You better look for another secretary, Dr. Schechter. Good day.
get up.
Morning already. Still dark.
For some of us.
Will you just answer the question?
I have nothing to say.
Tired?
I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. You're not a stupid girl, Miss Castle. Far from it. I hear you're a brilliant student. But you're clearly naive. The world is a complex place. Maybe you acted without thought, without contemplating the consequences. An innocent victim of another's callous manipulation. There's nothing to be ashamed of, Nina. Tell me who your accomplices are.
I have nothing to say.
Okay. Let's try another tack. What's your name?
You know my name.
We know you've lied to us.
If you have no more questions, I should like to return to my cell.
Your mother was a traitor. What's her name? Stanisława Karsos-Siemoniewska. According to public record, she was convicted in 1951 of being a Nazi-fascist criminal.
My mother was in the Home Army. She was never a traitor. She was cleared of all charges in 1957.
How long was she in prison for? Let's see. 5 years. She almost died by all accounts. You know she sheltered Jews. Are you Jewish, Nina? What happened to your hands? I want to know what happened to your hands.
I got frostbite when I was 2. There's nothing else to know. I should like to return to my cell now.
You're not going anywhere until you tell me what happened to your hands.
I was 2. I don't remember.
Try.
My little girl. My sweetest love. Jump. Jump first. I love you.
The train. I remember a train. My mother told me that we jumped to escape a German patrol. But I have other memories. Of a man. Of a woman. I remember jumping. I remember the snow and the feel of it on my face. And I remember the shape of a woman lying beside me, her feet in black overshoes. I raised her arm and lay beside her, where it was warm. But then the heat slowly left her, and I grew cold.
Nina! I was 2. I don't remember.
Well, let me refresh your memory. You were going to Treblinka, to the death camp, with your parents. They were both, let's have a look, lawyers. They forced the carriage door and jumped just before junction 43. Your mother was killed instantly. It seems your father found you in the snow and brought you to Warsaw. You were in hospital for quite some time with injuries to your spine and frostbite on your hands. And then, let's see, your father hid for a few months, then was hunted down by the Nazis. We found the information in your foster mother's file. She confessed in prison. Your real name is Kirschrott. The court will not look kindly on someone who has disguised their identity, who has lied to the authorities, who has misled the investigation. But tell me who your accomplices are, and I'll be willing to forget this conversation.
I have nothing to say.
Interrogation concluded.
I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish. I feel the same. I'm Jewish. Nothing has changed, why should it? I love my mother. I'm still Polish. I love my mother. She must have been tortured to tell them what she did. And yet, why didn't she tell me? I'm Jewish. Like you. Are you all right? Did they arrest you too? I'm worried about you, Shimon.
Put down your book, love. Soup's up.
No, thanks. I'm not hungry.
Oh, so do you think you want it later, or shall I put it back in the pot?
I'm really not hungry.
I hear you've got lemons. And hot water.
Yes, I have a bad chest. I find it helps.
Oh, squealed, did you?
No.
But I'm sorry, darling, but everyone thinks you're an informer. That's why they gave them to you. Start a few rumours flying. Take the soup for later. Soon, I'll be eating pork chops with apple, beef stroganoff with noodles, hot chocolate with cognac. Well, it's what's kept me going in here. Thought of what I'm going to eat when I get out.
You're being released.
Next week.
Please, could you deliver something for me?
Oh, I don't think so, love.
It's only a letter to my friend Dr. Schechter. Please.
Well, make it quick then.
I wrote down your address and told her to give it to you and you alone. I told her not to phone since your phone would certainly be tapped. I tried to think of everything. The only thing I neglected to tell her was not to send it by post.
Ah, Miss Karsoff. Sit down.
I have nothing to say.
You think we don't know what you're doing?
I have nothing.
The thing about prison, Miss Karsoff, is that you cannot communicate with the outside world without us knowing. You are henceforth forbidden from writing letters. Your pen has already been confiscated.
Can I ask why?
This letter to your mother. All you do is talk about books.
I'm within my right to talk about books. I read a great deal here. There's nothing else to do.
Ah, but none of the books you've written about are in the prison library. I've checked.
No. Well, there's very little worth reading in the prison library. The books I write about I read before. I'm a graduate in philology.
It's a code, isn't it? We're not that stupid, Miss Karsoff. You may go now.
I asked before, is it possible that since I'm being forbidden to write, that I could have a brighter bulb in my cell to read with? If I must read the books in your library, I'd like to be able to see the words.
Miss Karsoff, you try my patience. You really do. No. Oh, and by the way, a food parcel arrived from your friend the doctor. We have to open it with the prisoner present. Mozzas, biscuits, tomatoes, and 2 chocolate hearts. You'll be glad of it. The food here is adequate, but hardly what a girl like you is used to. Sign here.
Motzers, you're still at home. The biscuits. I'm still to behave in the agreed fashion under interrogation. 3 tomatoes, that you too are suspected. And 2 chocolate hearts. Our typist has been questioned and has given evidence against me. My message reached you. My message reached you.
Oh, I've heard that you've been ill again. We can offer you some more lemons?
No, thanks.
No. So you're feeling better? I'm sorry we cannot let you go to hospital for checks just now, not while you're under investigation.
All right.
If it was up to me...
Is that all you wish to ask me?
One last thing, Miss Karsoff. What exactly do the 3 tomatoes mean? The code, I mean.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So you're not smuggling out messages?
No.
Sit down. Did you write this? I hate to be the one to break it to you, but he's betrayed you, Nina. He's left you high and dry. Can't you see that? Think of yourself for a change. You're still a young woman. With your bad health, this place, well, it won't be doing you much good. Were you infatuated with him? Was that it?
I have nothing to say.
Take this pen and a piece of paper and write the whole thing out from the start. Go on. Tell us what really happened. It won't matter now. He's gone.
I have nothing to say.
Well, get out then. And I'm sorry to inform you that your food parcel, along with your letter, are being retained as evidence.
Is it true that you've left the country? Is it? You have a family to think about. A permit to leave Poland. You've waited so long for that. Only a madman wouldn't leave. I don't know what to believe anymore. Are you still here? Are you?
I'm here. Don't doubt me. Remember? Did you get my letters? I suspected you didn't. You have now been detained for 135 days. 135 days, it's unimaginable. Over and over again I ask myself why I let you do it. Why let you read out that letter?
You had no choice. I typed the diary. If they'd arrested you, they would have arrested me too. You had no choice. It was the only way.
Nina, do you remember when we first met? I was looking for an assistant to help me write a book. You came to see me with a friend with whom I had arranged an interview.
You gave her the job, but on the way home she told me she'd changed her mind. Why? Because you were a Jew and she didn't trust Jews. And so I came back that night and explained the situation. And then I took the job.
Did you ever regret it? Did you ever wonder where you would have been now if you'd decided differently?
You have destroyed my daughter's life, Dr. Schechter.
Why didn't you tell her before? She should have known the truth about her origins, about her parents.
Her life has been difficult enough without being Jewish. Listen, I know my daughter is standing up to the interrogation bravely. Make things easy for her. Leave. She'll be taken care of.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe she's strong enough to survive a long prison sentence. We must get her out of there.
There's no way to do that.
Yes, there is. Lida and I have decided to get a divorce. I shall marry Nina. They'll let her out sooner as my wife.
Your wife?
It's the best way. She'll be tried and then sentenced. They won't want to lose face. And then they'll release her.
Doctor, you really think you have that much influence?
I'll make the West take notice. You wait and see. And then we can emigrate together.
Emigrate? What? Are you insane? Apart from the fact that I doubt you will have any impact on her sentence, it will only confuse her more. What are you thinking of? Give up these crazy ideas, Dr. Schechter. If you want to help my daughter, leave her alone.
I'm afraid I'm not able to do that. Lida and I were granted a divorce by the Warsaw District Court in March, just before she left with Waddick for Israel. It is now September. I've applied to the prison for a license to get married, but I've heard nothing. Nothing. I'll write again. Nina, you remember the apartment, the way it was always full of people, arguing, singing, drinking. I have had no visitors for months. Everyone's scared. They know that I'm watched day and night. And so I have had to learn to live alone. How many steps do you think it is to the window? 1, 2, 3... Ah, yes. There are 4. Here we are. Hello? Hello? No one there. My phone is tapped. My rooms are bugged. Are you listening? They've made me a prisoner too, Nina. They've put me in solitary confinement. My world is 10 steps across and 7 steps wide. The only one I can talk to now is you.
Shimon, are you out there? Someone's husband thought they saw you near the station. You haven't left, have you? My trial is scheduled for the middle of next month. I'm counting the days. Today is the 335th. I spent most of that time in here, in my cell. It's etched on my brain. The white walls and a floor of red concrete slabs. The old wooden door and the windows, both with 3 horizontal panes. 2 whitewashed, 1 not. 2 tiers of cast iron bunks, with me on the top, left. Growing old.
356.
357.
370.
371.
Make way, please. Let the prisoner through. This is a criminal court. Do not loiter at the barrier.
Shimon, you're still here.
Nina! Of course I'm still here. I've tipped off the main news agencies about the trial. The West will not ignore this.
No talking to the prisoner. Make way.
I'll be in the public gallery.
No public allowed in the courtroom. It is to be held in camera in a closed court.
Just answer the question.
I have...
Miss Karsoff, are you feeling unwell?
Do you mind if I sit down?
Be strong.
I'll be okay.
Next witness. Your name?
Janusz Szpotansky.
Profession?
Literary critic.
Residence?
Mokotów Prison, Warsaw.
You know the accused? The woman you see standing in the dock?
Of course. Hello, Nina.
Just answer the questions. Tell us what you know about Nina Karsoff.
I refuse to answer any questions.
Let me rephrase. You obviously know each other. When and where did you last meet?
I refuse to answer any questions.
I tried not to laugh, but I couldn't help it. They had brought out writers, critics, editors, one by one. All of those incarcerated friends we hadn't seen for months. But nobody would answer a single question about me. Oh, Shimon, it was so hard to keep a straight face.
You find your trial amusing, Miss Castle?
If I was a spectator, I probably shouldn't laugh. But there are none in this court. And as I'm the one to be sentenced, it's all I can do.
I declare a recess in order that the accused may be examined by a psychiatrist.
This is Radio Free Europe, and that was the news.
Didn't they read my letters? Does nobody out there care? Tomorrow you'll be sentenced. I'm scared. I'm scared for you, Nina. Maybe your mother was right. Maybe I was wrong. How many times have I been told to stop swimming against the tide, but how could I not?
Shimon, are you out there? I don't know if I can do it anymore. Shimon.
This is Radio Free Europe on Monday morning, 12th October. According to a Reuters report, a young female dissident, Nina Karsoff, will be tried before the Central Court in Warsaw this morning. Further reports will follow.
Nina Karsoff has just been sentenced to 3 years. 3 years for having the courage to think for herself. And even though, in the course of her incarceration, she has been tortured, not physically as once was the norm, but mentally, which is far, far worse, she has never broken her silence. My dear friend Nina Karsoff also has a life-threatening medical condition, but has not been given access to proper medical care. Please appeal on my behalf to the Western world to take notice of this case. Print the story in your newspapers. Read it out on your radio stations. Broadcast the fate of this girl on your televisions, so men like the ones standing behind you, yes, the ones over there, so they'll stop this reign of terror on ordinary, innocent people. Come in. My door is never locked.
Hello, Doctor. We have a search warrant.
I suppose you and your men will be looking for letters to the West.
That and other things.
You should have told me you were coming. I would have kept a copy for you.
Check the pockets of his coat and the toilet system.
Yeah, it's fair. Damn you people!
Sit down. What are you eating?
Eating? I always eat some evidence before bedtime. Quells the indigestion.
The West will soon tire of your old story. Old news is no news, isn't that what they say? Have you seen Miss Karsoff recently? I heard she was moved to Fordham Prison. 250 kilometres away? It must be hard for you to travel with your disability.
Since we are not related, I've not been permitted to see her.
How are your marriage plans? Postponed?
You cannot prevent us from getting married. It is a basic human right.
Have you even asked her yet?
My 10th application for a visit is currently being processed.
Being married to you will do nothing but make her life more difficult. What are your real motives, Dr. Schechter? Is it really for her sake? Or for your own conscience?
Get out! Get out, all of you!
No, take that.
And then the bus broke down.
2 minutes.
Already. Keep talking. It's so good to see you again. And then the bus broke down.
We had to be transferred. They put us on a tram full of children. I had 3 on my lap and one with his arms round my legs.
Have you heard the news?
Yes. Your appeal was turned down. Your original sentence was confirmed. I'm so sorry. Nina...
Right, time's up.
You said 2 minutes. Nina, marry me.
What?
Lida is in Israel. We're divorced. Marry me. I took the liberty of applying for a license. They're to allow it next week. Well...
Right, visiting time's over.
Yes. Yes.
We married almost 18 months after you were arrested. In March, my open letter to Bertrand Russell was published by The Guardian in London. You were made Prisoner of the Year by Amnesty International. But still, nothing changed.
I am married. And yet, not. I'm famous, and yet I am forgotten. The way people look at me makes me think I might be dying, and yet I have never felt so alive.
10 steps by 7.
10 steps by 7.
Did you send that letter?
Is your tape machine on? Ah, yes, it is. I did.
By what means?
I can't tell you that.
Dr. Schechter, it would have been so much easier for you if you had behaved yourself.
Arrest me then.
We keep trying to give you a dignified exit.
I shall not go unless Nina Karsoff, my wife, is allowed to come with me. If she dies in prison, I shall personally make sure the whole world knows what you did to her and how she was made to suffer.
Don't you get it yet? Why are you so...
Boldness, according to Goethe, has genius, power, and magic in it.
I have a letter for you. It's from Nina. Internal post, so much more reliable.
It's been opened.
Surely, Doctor, that does not surprise you.
Would you be so kind as to read it for me? I'm blind, you know.
My dearest Shimon, I've just heard that I am to be released. 1/3 of my sentence is to be remitted. What magic did you weave? The date of my release is September the 5th, Nina.
What is the date? Today, I mean.
It's the 4th of August.
Nina? Are you there, Nina?
Hello, Shimon. You're soaking wet.
I meant to bring a golden carriage, but you know...
Then it will have to be the bus.
The next one's in an hour. I should have ordered a taxi.
Oh, my mother. I thought my mother might be here.
One day she'll understand that it was the only way. The papers came through yesterday. Now they just want to get rid of us. As husband and wife, we're being allowed to emigrate. I've friends we can stay with in Vienna.
Shimon...
I had a letter yesterday from Lida in Israel. She'll be joining us as soon as she can. Nina, you're shaking. What is it?
I'm a little cold.
Take my coat. Here.
And so you'll...
An annulment should be straightforward.
And then you'll...
Marry Leda again. Yes. In answer to your question, we are both very happy to be invited here to England. And we would like to thank the press in the West and Amnesty International for their support in Nina Karsoff's case.
We were granted leave to remain in England in 1968. Our marriage was annulled a year later. The case made legal history in Britain. It was the first marriage to be deemed invalid on the grounds that it had taken place under duress. And you were reunited with Leda, and you married again. But in some ways, nothing changed. For 10 years we worked together in London. We ran a small publishing company. We wrote a book together. I proofread your first novel. In that time we tried to censor ourselves. We tried to oppress the way we felt. And we did it. For years we did it.
We were more ruthless than the secret services, more brutal than an in-camera court. But the bond that had been forged in those years in Poland could not be broken. I knew it, you knew it, Leda knew it.
You stay here. I'll go look for a taxi.
No, let's both go.
But it's pouring. Wait, I can see one down Exhibition Road.
Oh, terrible weather. Does it never stop raining in this country? Hello again. Goodness me, it's been years. Oh, I'm so sorry. I must be mistaken.
I know who you are.
I'm sorry, I don't think I've had the pleasure. Good afternoon.
I do know who you are.
Shimon. Shimon, what's the matter? Who are you talking to?
No one. Nobody.
The taxi's here.
Take my hand.
But you're holding it already. It was always yours. You know that.
Yes. I know it.
You divorced your wife for a second time.
And then you married me.
And then I married you.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
Again.
Congratulations.
Szymon Schechter and Nina Karsoff remained married until Szymon's death in 1983. Nina still lives in London and works as a researcher in the Houses of Parliament. The January wedding was based on the book they wrote together, which documented Nina's imprisonment and the battle for her release. In the January wedding, Szymon was played by Carl Johnson, Nina by Cressida True, the face by Richard Cutts, the mother